Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Film Talk on WSVA. My name is Alex Bauer, the host of the show. And with Thanksgiving around the corner, I figured why not talk about a movie that's often associated with the holiday. None other than the buddy comedy Planes, Trains, and Automobile, which is often considered a bit of a turning point in legendary director slash writer slash producer John Hughes' film career, since he was trying to branch out from the usual teen movies he was doing at the time, like the Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, among others. And while it didn't quite light up at the box office at the time, it did became a more it became a lot more appreciated over the years. And today we're going to be examining why is it. When I tell you about the story, what with a businessman named Neil Page, played by Steve Martin, trying to get home to his family for Thanksgiving, but ends up always meeting a guy named Del Griffin, played by the great yet but sadly no longer living John Candy, you might think it'd be nothing special. But my argument is that this is one of those movies that's more about the journey that these two go through rather than the destination. This is part of the reason why is because of the antics or shenanigans that the two get into, whether it be just the crazy people they meet up to, Paige getting frustrated that things aren't going his way, or etc. Anyway, and a lot of these scenarios do lead into pretty humorous moments. A particular highlight was when Steve Martin just outright broke down and probably made a speech that probably led this movie to get the R rating, since if he were to take out that scene, it otherwise would have been a PG/PG-13 movie. Just kind of goes to show how one scene can make an impact on a rating, but I digress. Right, but even if we take that out, but even if we ignore how that's the only time, that's probably the only reason why it got that rating, it's still a hilarious scene, especially with the reaction to the lady in the counter said how she went from cheery and rosy cheek to more like a well you brought this onto yourself kind of face. And need I mention the that's not a pillow scene? But however, it's not all about the jokes and humor situations these two get into. The movie has does have a heart to it, and that's because we feel, even though we laugh at Neil for what he has to go through, mainly because while we laugh at what he has to go through, at the same time there's a bit of a not sweetness to it, since given that he just wants to go home and spend Thanksgiving with his family. Not to mention, even the moment, not to mention what Del Griffin had to go through. But I'll be saving that for when I talk about the characters. Sorry, I thought I heard something, but I guess if I do have to find one thing to criticize, it's actually not really a criticism or even a nitpick for that matter. It's just something you should keep in mind. The movie was made around in the late 80s. The reason why I brought that up was because when you watch it today, some things may come across as dated by mostly what struck me was that when was the last time you saw a Roy Rogers in business? that's kind of what I. But that doesn't really impede my enjoyment on the movie. It's just, it's just something worth knowing. That and Paige's house kind of looks like it belongs to the same neighborhood as the kid from Home Alone's neighborhood would be. They're both John Hughes productions, so maybe he thought it would be a nice little in joke when he later worked on Home Alone. Who knows? Who knows? But I'm gonna move on. In terms of some of the design stuff in the production, there are a few noteworthy things to point out. In one surreal joke, when Ray and Del Griffo had a near-death experience, and there was a bit of a scene where Ray sort of hallucinated Griffin as as a devil, but while Ray saw him, well Neil, I'm sorry, don't know why I kept calling him Ray, but whatever. Well, Neil kept. He saw him. Well, we see Neil as a skeleton. Even though that skeleton was probably just used for one scene, I had to give it credit to the makeup artist for at least using that one scene, but not half-assing it, and making the skeleton look pretty good. Also, I found some two. Also there were a couple of nifty camera tricks they used to heighten some gags. Both of which use a similar technique, but with different payoffs. Sorry about that. The first time they used it was when the two was waiting for someone to drive them to the train. Mainly because who Griffin knows because he sold that man a shower curtain ring. And what works about it is that Neil says that this ain't gonna be a stranger or anything, or I think that's how the joke went. That's what he said, and then what happens was that we started at a bit of a low angle, and then as the person comes out of the truck, and then we see a pan up, and as we see Paige and Griffin's reaction, and then it finally stops when we see who the person that came out of the truck was, which was a redneck. The second time they used that similar camera move was to highlight a bit that something went wrong with Neil. Later in the movie, he got a chance to drive a rented car, and when he got off which has the code of V-5. Now it starts at a bit of a low angle as we see him go through the different cars from V1, V2, V3, V4. And then when it cuts to V5, it pans up, only to reveal V5 was taken. While it is the same technique, I think it's a good way for filmmakers to use in order to build up tension with the joke. You don't know what's going on or what the person may look like or if the thing is there, and by the time it goes back up, you realize, oh, that's what it is, or it's not there. That was good. Also, I gotta give it credit that I'm not usually a fan of when a film utilizes flashbacks like I don't mean like flashbacks of newly composed scenes. I mean like they just take scenes for previous parts of the movie and then stitch together. And since I feel like it's like a cheap emotional effect. However, in this movie, I feel like it works better for two reasons. For one, we do see a lot of Neil's reactions, going from laughing at all the good times or slash what he's going to do when he hangs out with his family, to sadness or slash realization that maybe Griffin was hiding something with the way he was talking about his wife. And last and last and one other moment I like to point out was with with the use of shadows in a couple of scenes. In the first motel the two stayed in, we can see that there's a bit of a light on Griffin when the two are in bed, while Neil is in the shadows. The way I see it is that Griffin was trying to open up, and try to be nice, try to talk to Neil, while Neil is just in the corner hiding, trying to block out of that, and is more focused on trying to get back to his family. They similarly used that in a later scene when Neil was in bed by himself while Griffin was outside in the cold, where Neil was once again in the dark, in a more dark shadow in the area. But then he realized that he can't just leave Griffin out in the cold. So when he goes out, we see more, but the shading goes away and we see more of his body. In a way, I see it as Neil finally loosening up and just trying to act nicer to Griffin. I just thought that was a nice sort of subtle way of showing how their friendship started to grow. And I have to commend, and if that's true, I really do commend whoever thought of that, or perhaps John Hughes, for thinking out that's a nice use of visual filmmaking. In terms now for the soundtrack, and man, the soundtrack. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it sometimes awful? Yes. But do I love it? Not really, but like it. I guess I'm just a sucker for that kind of cheesy 80s music. And the use of a harmonica in a few scenes is a nice little touch / detail, as it does convey the sort of road trip / race back to Chicago sort of feeling that the movie was going for. Now, if there are two things people will remember the most about the movie, it is Neil Page and Ray Del Griffin. Neil Page is more of a straight. Really need to bring water here, but whatever. Page is more of a a little more serious, tense businessman, while Ray Del Griffin is. Although Griffin is more of a nice, is a bit of a nice, is a nice man, someone who just wants, who can screw up, but doesn't mean his actions. Those opposing personalities make for great. Alone is enough for reason why I feel like they work off each other well. Another reason is because of the material they were given and the great performances of Steve Martin and John Candy respectively. And with those things together, and with all three of those together, it becomes more believable that they would eventually become friends and would loosen up to each other. The best part, no. And it would be. Anyway. The other characters they meet throughout the movie, while I wouldn't go as far as remember their names per se, they did leave a memorable impact. Like the couple that was warning the duo they were going the wrong way before experiencing a near-death experience with the trucks, or the rosy cheek. That rosy cheek lady that Neil Page yelled at. As for Page's family, well, they don't really add. No, it's hard really to say if they're memorable or not since we just see them in a few doses, but no, but their appearances are a nuisance and. Sorry, just got something in my throat, but anyway. their appearances aren't a nuisance per se, and they don't leave a bad taste. It's just clear that the movie is more focused on what it should be about, a, which is a buddy comedy, and that's where and that's where it should, and that's what the focus should be. So in the end, it's not surprising to see why this movie is watched a lot during the Thanksgiving holidays. Right, with its great humor, two incredible leads. Anyway, a laugh, a cheesy, a cheesy slash laughably bad but charming soundtrack and a strong heart to the movie. Really is what makes it so memorable. Like I said before, this is really a good watch during Thanksgiving. But for those looking for something to watch that isn't the Peanuts Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, but though that is also a great watch. But I digress. And even for those and for those who are interested in the filmography of John Hughes. Thank you all for watching me, and I'll see you next time.